This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's Sweetheart, Davian.
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
This is your Warlord of Weird, Sinn Bodhi, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show at Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today, the trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Planet One Coffee. I am, of course, your host, James J., and it's a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with Sinn Bodhi!
Hey, buddy, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, the honor is all mine. Can you tell us what you got coming up next?
Yeah, I'll be getting ready for the next Power Slap combines and events. We're just putting the dates together on all that, and I'll be wrestling across the U.S. and hopefully I'll be back in. Just waiting on some dates for Mexico and for the UK, and be going back to Florida very soon. And this month I'll be in Denver, Colorado, and Las Vegas as well. And I've got my Winter Wonder Slam show in Pahrump, Death Valley, just outside of Vegas. It's my yearly Christmas charity show. And we're going into our third year of doing the show, and the town has permitted that we will have the venue and the town's support every year from now on, as long as we want it, because we've done such a good job raising money for underprivileged children. Last year we fed and gave toys and stocking stuffers to over 2,000 kids, so I was very proud of that.
That's awesome.
That's Winter Wonder Slam, and I will also be, we're taking more and more wrestlers in for the Cauliflower Alley on the Fly show. So if you're a wrestler across the land in whatever school you're in, beginner, advanced, medium, whatever you are, you basically just have to send in some information, let us know who you are, and bring your gear and get ready to get picked by a legend to be in the ring organically on the fly. To sort of a love letter to the old school of wrestling, where it was not so mapped out as it is today, and it was much more ad lib and hence on the fly. And so I'm very proud to be the producer for that show through Cauliflower Alley. And there you go.
Awesome. And all of your social media and your merchandise will be in the description of the video below for anybody that wants to click it.
Cool. Yeah, whether I'm wrestling or doing a wrestling seminar, or I custom make the wrestling toys, so if you want an action figure of yourself in that LJN Big Rubber Guys style, then just shoot me a message, and yeah, there you go.
Hell yeah.
All my social media is all Sinn Bodhi, SINN BODHI. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
Perfect. Now let's get into it. You're currently in Saudi Arabia. Can you tell us what you're doing in Saudi?
Yeah, I'm working as talent relations with Dana White's Power Slap. So I help book the talent and recruit the talent, and that competes on Power Slap, which is a really, really intense, fun show. And we just did last week. We just were in Abu Dhabi, and we flew into Riyadh yesterday. And because we do usually before every Power Slap show, you do about a week of media and all sorts of stuff, kind of like a fight week before the shows.
Right.
And the guys are training and, filming media stuff and doing appearances and all that kind of stuff. And so the show this week is Friday in Riyadh. And you can catch it live on YouTube for free. Or you can come to Riyadh and watch the show.
That would probably be a pretty expensive ticket on my part.
Maybe. And so I brought a lot of the wrestlers to the Power Slap competition. I'll book more people other than wrestlers, but obviously wrestlers is sort of my specialty. Yeah, exactly. So on this show coming up, I've got a great wrestler from Canada named Ryan Kenny. He'll be competing, and I've got the tag team of Mariachi Montana, who are not in a tag team Power Slap per se. They're competing in singles. It's like it's only singles events. It's just mano y mano or womano y womano, and so Ro Montana will be competing, and his little brother Huli Montana will be making his Power Slap debut. So it's cool that they're both over here at the same time at the same show. Such an exotic location, like the capital of Saudi Arabia, which is where we are right now, Riyadh.
How's it been being in Saudi Arabia?
I mean, it's definitely a different world over here. It's beautiful. People are friendly. People are polite. The food is great. The scenery is wonderful. Got to ride a camel this week in Abu Dhabi, or actually in Dubai. So that was pretty cool. And I asked the tour guides. I said, "What's the camel's name?" And I was expecting some really exotic, fun name, and they said, "Oh, the camel's name is Sean." So I thought that was pretty awesome. So Sean was cool. We got along. He let me pet him. It was good. It was a good time.
Hell yeah. Well, when you aren't in Saudi Arabia, you're primarily based in Las Vegas, where you coach for future stars of wrestling.
It's true.
It's being 25 years in the business. How do you coach wrestlers nowadays compared to how you were trained, which was more or less, like I like to call it, the Wild West days of pro wrestling?
Yeah, I mean, we were trained pretty hard. We're really not allowed to train people like that anymore. I think they should, but we can't. But I think we turned out pretty good. Toughened us up pretty good and gave us an appreciation for things. So I train a lot of really, really great guys and girls. I'm very proud of them all. But it's not for everybody, and it's not as easy as the pros make it look. But a lot of hard work goes into what we do, and I think the harder you train, no pain, no gain. So you've got to train hard to be prepared to live your dreams. So you kind of get in what you put out, and there you go.
Well, I mean, speaking of training, you were able to train at FCW, the original Performance Center. What was that experience like, being in FCW under the tutelage of quite a few big names?
Yeah, at the PC, or like for FCW, I trained under Dr. Tom, Ricky Steamboat, Dusty Rhodes, Norman Smiley, Steve Kern, Billy Kidman, really great coaches. And it was awesome. I mean, they worked us really hard. I mean, we were there usually just about 9 to 5 every day. And, they'd always yell at us to bring a bunch of different changes of shirts because we'd sweat so bad, working out so hard that we would soak the ring canvas and it would just be a big slippery ice rink in there. So, we would train so hard that my big heavy leather wrestling boots wouldn't just be damp from sweat. They would be soaked, like as if I had just dumped them in a bucket or something. So what I would always do when I was done training every day is, on the way back to my house, I would stop by the beach, and I would literally take my boots and knee pads off at the beach, and I would just throw them as far into the ocean as I could, and I'd swim out and grab them and bring them out back to the beach, and I'd wring them out and throw them on my beach towel. Then I'd go for a jog, come back an hour later, and my boots and my knee pads would be all soaked or dried out, and then I'd throw them in the car. I'd go work out at the gym, like lift weights, and then I would go home and eat and go to sleep and get up and come back and train all day at the wrestling gym and kind of rinse and repeat.
Being under Dusty Rhodes, you got any Dusty stories?
Yeah, lots of Dusty stories. So I've actually wrestled Dusty Rhodes, Dustin Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes. Dusty was always really cool. He helped sort of produce some of the original, kind of like the Sinn Bodhi kind of turning into Kazarni. He filmed, or he helped produce promos in a way that I thought were much better than what they asked me to do on SmackDown, respectfully. I was very grateful for that opportunity, but I liked the way Dusty produced the Kazarni character more so than when we did the vignettes. Like, he would let me sort of kind of cut a very, Jake the Snake-esque promo and then close them out with some nonsensical carny, so whether you understood it or not, it didn't really make a difference. Like, I'd say, Sally sold seashells by the seashore or something like that, just something that made no sense, but I would just say it in company after I was done sort of talking about whoever I was talking about. And that was a lot of fun. Just learned a lot of really cool psychological, in-ring tricks from him and promo tricks from him. And he was a good guy. We made each other laugh. And I remember when I was getting called up to SmackDown, and so when I was still at FCW, and I did this one show where they let me be like a guest commentator. And Tyson Tarver was in the ring, and he was cutting this promo, and he had this promo that he was always insisted on doing where he would talk about his 1.5 second punch. And I used to tease him. I'd say, man, I don't know, that's a long time to throw a punch. I could probably throw 10 punches during that 1.5 seconds. And he would just always laugh and be like, oh, Sinner, why you got to bust my chops and all this stuff. And I remember I was on commentary, and he said that, he was talking about whoever he was about to wrestle. And he said, you can't avoid my 1.5 second punch and all this stuff. And I said something to the effect of, he's scary and he's this and he's that, but he's just a man. And Dusty Rhodes was on the headset, in the production room, laughing. And he was just always just giggling at some of the stuff that we would do and say and stuff. And he'd be kind of laughing and cussing and saying funny stuff. And he's just a good dude to be around.
When you wrestle, obviously a legend like Dusty Rhodes, and then you wrestle, his sons, Dustin and Cody, can you kind of tell, the similarities and the differences wrestling, fathers and sons?
I found all three to be night and day different. Like Dusty had just a smoothness and a personality about him, whereas I found Dustin to sort of be much more sort of sports entertainment style of wrestler, where he was really fun to wrestle as well. I was actually the first guy to wrestle Dustin as Goldust on a non-WWE show. It was the first time he ever did an independent show as Goldust. Well, the second, but it was the first in North America. I think what he had done was he was supposed to wrestle Christopher Daniels on some show in England. And then they did this thing, which I thought was very cool, where the promoter says, hey, sorry, everybody, but due to travel arrangements, Dustin Rhodes and Christopher Daniels cannot make it here. And people started booing. And then all of a sudden, Goldust's music hit, and then Goldust comes out instead of Dustin Rhodes. And then Curryman's music hit, and Curryman comes out instead of Christopher Daniels. And so it was Curryman versus Dustin Rhodes. I thought that was really clever. And then that was in the UK somewhere. And then in Canada in Toronto is where I wrestled Dustin as Goldust. That was a lot of fun. And when I wrestled Cody, it was right. He was at the beginning of his game. He was still just really, really green. And I want to say it was like, I think we did a tag match or a 6-man tag match with Sean Spears and whoever else. And yeah, I mean, he was still just trying to get his footwork down. And he was still just at the beginning of his journey. So just try to have a basic, simple, fun, solid match. And that's about it. But Cody, since then, he actually wrestled on my show in Vegas, Freak Show Wrestling, when he was, you know, like this was just before AEW got started, like the All In and all that kind of stuff. This is when he was kind of going down that list of who he wanted to wrestle, and he came on the show and he was a lot of fun, and he was professional and a great guy, so that was cool.
Now, I mean, you mentioned him, Kazarni. How do you...
I hate that guy.
Answering my questions before I ask them. How do you view Kazarni, considering that, you know, obviously a lot of people, you know you for that, like, brief 6 months that you were on WWE TV, but you never, I mean, you obviously been Sinn Bodhi a longer period of time, so how do you kind of view Kazarni, considering he never really got off the ground to begin with?
So what's the question? I'm not sure what the question is.
How do you view Kazarni, considering he was only somebody you portrayed for like 6 months?
I think there was things I liked and things I wasn't a fan of. Like, a lot of people have to realize, like, when wrestlers get put on WWE, they don't often have a lot of say in their creative. Like, I was told that was going to be my name, and I was a legitimate, like, carnival guy. Like, I could do the strongman stuff and carnival stuff and geek magic and all that kind of stuff and sideshow stuff. But it was Vince McMahon's idea to call me Kazarni. It's Carney for Carney. Carney speak for the word Carney. And he asked me if I could speak Carney because I was kind of an old school guy and a carnival guy. And I said yes. Yes is like his in. And so he wanted me to speak all Carney, which I kind of thought was, you know, and he was insistent on me being a babyface. So I think, like, that speaking that Carney, you know, was irritating to listen to. And I thought that's not what you want out of a babyface, you know, maybe a heel, but. And at that stage of the game, I was so used to being a heel 9 out of 10 times. Like, that's where most of my experience lied. But other than that, I mean, I chose to visually look like that. And when I went there, I was kind of really more of a kick punch bad guy, but I was a fun bad guy. Like, I could, you know, be amusing or be kind of sinister or whatever the case needed. But, you know, I was always kind of taught to be like, you know, a heel should have kind of no redeeming quality. So I didn't put a lot of thought into having fancy high spots. I put a lot of thought in how I was going to sell for my good guy and how I was going to put vicious heat on my good guy. But Vince McMahon wanted me to be a babyface. So, you know, guys like Arn Anderson and Ricky Steamboat and guys like that, Undertaker, guys like that, you know, were very helpful in helping me kind of figure out what to do as Kazarni, the babyface. And it didn't work out there, you know, for whatever reason. I still really don't have closure on it. I have no idea, you know, why. You know, I was called by Johnny Ace out of the blue, and he just said creative didn't have anything for me. My first answer was, then fire creative. You know, like, if, you know, if they can't think of something, you know, if nothing else, I'm a pretty interesting guy. So if you can't think of something for me, like, maybe fire the writers, you know, because like us wrestlers, you know, we bust our asses and we work really hard and follow our dreams and we travel the world and we pay our dues and, you know, blood, sweat, and tears and all that. And if some dork with a pencil can't write something good for us, well, maybe fire that dork with a pencil and get a better dork with a pencil, you know?
Right.
That's how I kind of looked at it. But, you know, and it was years later, I came back as a coach and like down at the PC in Orlando, and that was a very, very fun experience. That was a really cool experience. But I mean, from being a child, I always wanted to work at WWE, you know, so I did get a chance to wrestle there briefly, and I did a lot of house shows. I did a lot of that, more so than any of the TV stuff. Like, people saw the vignettes, and, you know, whether you liked it or not, it's memorable. So, people remember it. And so I must have done something right if I stuck in their brains for some reason, good, bad, or indifferent. But again, like the Carney wasn't really my first choice, but just trying to be a good team player and a good soldier. As Karrion Cross, one of my students would say, he's just try to be a good soldier and make the best out of the situation. And again, I was thankful to WWE for the opportunity. I still am thankful. I have nothing but respect for WWE. I think it's awesome. Again, I loved it since I was a child. Still love it. I'm still a giant child. I'll always love it. And yeah, there you go.
And you were for the short time you were on TV, you were actually in a segment with Edge and Vicky Guerrero. For anybody that doesn't know, you and him are longtime friends from childhood. So,
yep.
I mean, is being in a segment with Edge on WWE TV, is that kind of like a full circle moment of, from your childhood?
Yeah, I think Edge was trying to get us to be able to wrestle each other so he could kind of show the world what I could do. And it just got shut down really just because they wanted him doing other stuff with, top guys. They had, it's supposed to be me being the new guy. But I think, it was Vince McMahon's company. Now it's other people's company, but like the bosses can do what they want. It's their company. They're the ones signing the checks. They're the ones making the decisions. So sometimes they make great decisions. Sometimes they don't make so great decisions, but that's their prerogative either way.
I mean, speaking about your time in Canada, were you able to go on the Tony Condello Death Tours?
I did, but I did the summer tours. I didn't do the winter tours. So like a lot of those winter ice roads, they were all lakes when I went there. So like they flew us in on those pontoon planes and we went and did the shows. I did those shows with like Bobby Roode, Jeff Jarrett, lots of really good wrestlers. So I had a great time doing it. But yes, I did do the death tours.
Okay, so you got the easier death tours.
Yeah, I got the vacation death tours, not the killer death tour.
Another name that you've been in the ring with is one William Regal. Obviously.
That's not true. I've never wrestled William Regal.
Oh, okay. Well, cage match.
I know William Regal. I mean, I think he's a very talented, really a nice guy. Spent a little tiny bit of time around him, but I've never wrestled him.
Huh. Well, obviously, cage match has failed me again.
There you go.
Somebody that you did actually wrestle is Jake the Snake Roberts. You was one of his retirement matches as well.
That's true.
What does that kind of mean to you to have, obviously at the time he was retiring, he's had matches since, but to be, Jake's final match?
Those matches weren't as good as our match. Yeah, Jake is, he was my childhood idol. He fascinated me and scared me as a kid. And then I grew up, met him in England. We wrestled, and then we wrestled a few times in Canada, and we got along really well. And he invited me to go on the road with him and kind of learn under him. And I became, he became sort of my, my mentor and a very good friend of mine. And we're great friends to this day. And he actually officiated my wedding, which is never not going to be weird. It was very, very cool for him to do that. And I had a lot of people say, laugh and say that they were never going to go to another wedding again after mine because, they were like, it's not going to get any better than that. Jake the Snake was the officiator, and Edge and my little brother were the best men, and a lot of my kind of circus, carnival, freak show buddies put on a surprise freak show performance at my wedding, and it was, some of the best in the world, guys from Amazing Jonathan's show and Chris Angel's show and America's Got Talent and Go Big Show and Guinness World Records. So it was a pretty gnarly show, and zombie burlesque. So it was a really gnarly show, and it's actually on YouTube. Like the wedding ceremony is on YouTube. It's one link, and then the sort of the reception show is also on YouTube, and it's pretty worthwhile. I remember laughing that like Dexter Loomis was there, and Wyatt Six, and he was just like, holy crap, I can never go to another wedding again. Like my mind is blown. So that's what you get,
Well, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but you actually wrestled Sam Houston, Jake's brother, no?
I did. I wrestled him at the CAC at the Cauliflower Alley.
What was that experience like? Unfortunately, Sam Houston is not a name we hear as often as we should.
He's an awesome wrestler. Wrestling him is like a bit of a time capsule into a different era that's kind of lost in the pages of history. But his work rate and his work style is amazing. Like, just in that match, and I've spent quite a bit of time around Sam, and he's a good dude. But yeah, I learned a lot, and he brings the fire. Like he's bringing that jazz, as Mr. T would say, But yeah, it was a lot of fun wrestling with Sam.
Well, speaking of the Cauliflower Alley Club, you actually hosted and produced an event. What did that kind of mean to you, considering, a lot of big names, attend these events?
Yeah, producing the On the Fly show for CAC is definitely a pleasure and a privilege, and I'm flattered that they trusted me to do that for them. And having legends like Brian Blair and Haku and Cowboy Bob Orton and the Rock's mom, them all coming up and saying, "Man, great job! Like that was really great, and you did a kick-ass job, and all your guys did very well." And I was very flattered and happy that they were happy. And yeah, we'll do it again this year for the third year in a row. Same as like the Wonder Slam, the Christmas charity show. This will be its third year for that, and this year will be the third year for the CAC On the Fly show. So that's pretty cool. I'm very flattered to be involved in both of those.
Now, you had a tag match against Oddman Johnson and Road Warrior Hawk. What was that like?
It was wonderful. I've been in bar fights that hurt less, but they were both good dudes. Like they're really friendly dudes, but they're just gigantic and strong and tough as nails. So this is a whole different breed of wrestler that's sort of also lost to the pages of history. Like they just don't build them like that anymore. Like I've survived taking the hits from guys like the Road Warriors and Kamala and King Kong Bundy and the Steiner brothers and Viscera and all these gigantic Earthquake, all these giant dudes. Like I've been in the ring with all these guys, and they're just not humans that big or that tough anymore. They're just not. And that might get some people butthurt, but like I'm really not worried about it. But yeah, if you can hang with those guys, you can hang with anybody.
Hell yeah. I think it's time for Sinn's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
Oh, geez. Yeah. I call that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Yeah, every day at the office is another weird day on planet Earth for me. Yeah, if you point me in a direction, I can tell you a funny story or a weird story, but too many to pick from. It's just sort of a mental overload. But yeah, if you pick somebody or pick a place or pick a person, I can probably give you a 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon on, how I can tie into that person or in that place.
Well, there was one time where Scott Hall made you laugh at an inappropriate time?
Yes, that's true. We were sitting at Dallas Page's table at the Cauliflower Alley banquet, and there was this very nice, very talented man accepting an award, but he was talking for so long. It felt like days and days, and I think it felt like that to everybody else in the room, respectfully. But we all tried to be, polite and let him sort of air, what he wanted to air. And so he was talking and talking and talking and talking, and he took a pause just for a moment to catch his breath, and everybody just started clapping, kind of trying to respectfully cut him off, And then he just kind of talked right through the applause and kept on talking. Scott just kind of looked at me and just like, he kicked out. And I just had to bite my lip not to laugh out loud. I was just, we were both just not mature enough to, to behave. And I, from under the table, I grabbed my phone out of my pocket and I texted Scott, and I just texted him Razor's Edge with a question mark. And, our phones are on vibrate. And so sitting across, Scott feels the vibration of his phone. He reaches in his phone. He looks down. He just smiles. His eyebrow kind of raises, and he put his arms out to the side like he would do before he would do the Razor's Edge. And we both were just laughing and just biting our lip not to laugh and look like assholes, But, yeah, Scott was, rest his soul, Scott was a really good dude. I liked him a lot.
Now, another crazy thing you were able to do was you were on America's Got Talent.
This is true.
Can you tell us about that?
Sure, yeah. Very good friend of mine, Shocker, a comedy wrestling magician out of Las Vegas, a longtime friend of mine, and he was one of my Freak Show Wrestling OGs. America's Got Talent had asked him to do a performance, so he wanted to do a wrestling magic match with me. So we put it together. We put the act together, and we did it at Penn and Teller's Fool Us. And Penn and Teller, they were really great about it. We're buddies with them to this day, and they even kind of said, like, look, you guys were one of the only acts that we have ever had where we were kind of on the ropes as far as not knowing how you did it. And they kind of took a shot in the dark and they guessed it, but they said, like, we were one of the ones that stooped them more than anybody. And they really liked the act. So America's Got Talent got wind of that and wanted us to do that act. And so we brought it to America's Got Talent. But I think Shocker, he'd kind of rubbed Simon Cowell the wrong way. And so Simon didn't like that. Like, Simon was kind of asking for it. He was starting it. And Shocker kind of went toe-to-toe mentally with him and kind of made Simon look like an idiot, because he was asking for it.
Right.
And we just sort of decided that, if they decide to give us the X's for whatever reason, if they're going to DQ us, the plan B would be that me as the heel would kind of jump off the stage and walk towards those guys, the judges, like ominously, and like, so the judges have no idea what's going on. Organically, they don't. And we sort of gave the producer the heads up to tell Terry Crews, who's a big tough, guy, sort of, and to, like, get in between me and the judges, and if he kind of bowed up, then I would kind of back off for him and kind of put him over, And so we were told that Terry was given those instructions and said, yeah, okay, no problem. And then, so fast forward to the performance. So, Simon is being a dickhead. So we gave us the X's. And then, so I went to plan B, and I hopped off the stage and started slow walking towards Simon Cowell and Howie Mandel and that other blonde model chick. I can't remember her name. Heidi Klum, thank you very much. Mm-hmm. And Sofia Vergara. And so I was walking and kind of looking pretty ominous. And so I'm trying to slow walking, waiting for Terry Cruz to get in between us, and he was not. And so I'm looking around for him, and all of a sudden I see he's in the, kind of off to the side of the stage where he is, during the performances, and he starts barking at me. He's like, "You leave those guys alone," and I'm like, "Come and make me," and I didn't cuss or anything, but I was pretty aggressive, and he wouldn't budge, and he looked like a total big sissy that wouldn't get off the stage to come and save his buddies because he's the big, muscular action guy, and Simon Cowell and Howie Mandel are not, a couple of scrawny little string beans, and so I'm trying to, finagle this Terry Crews dude to come and save the day so I can kind of back up for him. But he wouldn't budge. He was scared shitless, and he wouldn't leave that stage. So I was trying to figure out how I can kind of coax him or kind of let him know, like, hey, I'm just kind of, working here, playing along, and if he was to, make this good, I'll protect him and, all that stuff. But he wasn't budging, and he made himself look like a big pussy. So I get right close to Simon Cowell, and like Howie Mandel's like crawling in his chair, and the two girls kind of goofy. They didn't know what I was up to. I think it was over their mental pay grade, and Simon Cowell's like, "Is this guy, is this guy crazy? Is he really gonna like try to hit me or something?" And he's like, "You better get out of here, or you'll be in trouble." And I'm like, "What? What are you gonna do to me? You idiot, And I was not nice about it. And then literally, Terry Crews was not coming to save the day at all. So I'm just thinking in my head, I'm like, how can I get myself out of this ridiculous situation? And then before I had to come up with something, some little, like just some scrawny little like stagehand comes over, like just completely not caring that I look like some murderous clown. And he just walks by like no big deal. He's like, "Okay, we're off air." So I just kind of immediately about-faced and turned around and just was like, "All right." And I just instantly just kind of just walked towards the back. And you just see Howie Mandel was just like so relieved. He was huffing and puffing, about to hyperventilate. And so I go walking to the curtain in the back, and I'm just kind of keeping an eye, making sure there's no cameras because I didn't want to, kind of burst the bubble or whatever. But so as soon as I realized the coast was clear and there was no cameras, and I saw Terry Crews, and he was looking at me like he wasn't sure if I was going to murder him or not. And I said, "Hey, man, I thought you were supposed to come and save the day. Like I would have backed up for you. You're the good guy, I'm the bad guy. It's kind of my job." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, no, I know. I'm a big wrestling fan. I know how it works." And I was just like, "Yeah, I don't think that you do," because he made himself look like a big baby. Like he looked like it sucked, for him. Not like I looked dangerous and scary because he wouldn't come and save the day. I was begging for him to come and save the day. I was begging to like make him look like a hero, but he wasn't chancing it. And I just, so we shook hands. We took a photo together. He was nice. He was very friendly. I just wish that, the producer maybe clued him in a little bit better so he knew it was safe to, come and get in front of me or whatever. But at least he showed good instincts. I'm no pushover, and neither is he. But it could have really been something really fun.
Right.
But it was what it was, and there you have it.
Now, I think it's time for the colossal question. Let's say that they're making a movie about you. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first 3 songs on your movie soundtrack?
Well, there's songs that I like, but there's not necessarily songs that I think would maybe relate to and I hate using the word character because it is really organically me, just with the volume cranked. Like, I'm not just some a-hole that went to the mall and got his face painted. Like, I am a legitimate circus strongman, a legitimate sideshow freak, and I did, legitimate martial artist and did all these crazy things. But as far as music, like, if you're asking me what music I think would be, good for a movie, that might be different than what I might like to listen to, in my truck on the way, to teach at the wrestling school or something like that. But I guess, as far as Sinn Bodhi mood music on a movie soundtrack of my life, let's see, maybe. That's a really good question. Something by Ozzy, for sure. What? I'm not sure, but something definitely by Ozzy Osbourne.
Okay.
Maybe. That's a really good question. Like my ring music is something that I actually made myself, and it's not a song. It's sort of this weird hodgepodge of like sounds from outer space and all these different weird sounds. I wanted something that sounded more like a horror movie soundtrack rather than a song. Kind of like like when you hear Michael Myers and you hear that ding 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 ding, or Jaws where you hear that dun 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 dun. It just sort of sets a mood and it tells you, it's that character. So that's what I kind of did with my ring music. But I guess it would have to be that ring music because it's been pretty synonymous with me for quite a while. And it opens up with that carnival music, and then it sort of morphs into that weird spacey, kind of spooky sounds or whatever, weird eerie sounds. But yeah, maybe more than one Ozzy song, maybe all Ozzy songs. It might just be a bunch of Ozzy stuff, maybe, from Crazy Train to maybe Electric Funeral, and what else? Maybe Paranoid. Yeah, definitely Paranoid. I guess those would be the songs for a Sinn Bodhi thing. But as far as me in the truck driving to a show, it might be Skinner, Johnny Cash, Journey. My guilty pleasure is Southern rock and glam rock. So stuff from that genre is and old school country, not new country, but like your Waylon Jennings, Merle Haggard, and Johnny Cash, and that kind of stuff.
Hell yeah!
So that was what would be in my soundtrack driving around in my truck.
It sounds like it's going to be a great soundtrack, to say the least.
Thank you.
Now that we have the soundtrack down, everybody knows you get the soundtrack first, then you write the script, and then you go to casting. Who plays you? And you can't say yourself because you are obligated to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo.
Oh, definitely Brad Pitt or Johnny Depp, because they're gorgeous like me. I'm not sure. Who would play me? That's a good question, too. That's a good question.
I think we got it. Brad Pitt or Johnny Depp.
Yeah, maybe there you go. Because again, like, I don't know, maybe they'd have to CGI somebody so good looking to really realistically play me, because I can't think of anybody, more handsome than this guy.
Hell yeah. Now, every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people significant to you and your story that would be in your movie, and who would play them?
I think Sam Elliott plays Jake the Snake.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah, I gotta think of somebody tall and lanky and bony and ugly to play Edge. Who could that be? Maybe, that's a good question. Maybe the guy from Goonies. That guy could play Edge.
Okay.
The guy with the guy with the cone head and the lopsided eyes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, That's right. And Pam Anderson, she could play my wife, I suppose. I could, twist my arm. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, this is sounding like a great movie. A blockbuster to say the least. And you can
Nice.
pre-order the tickets now.
There you go.
Onto a controversial subject. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
I'm cool with it. I got no problems with it. Like I could put pineapple on pizza that has lots of like different like meat. I'm a pepperoni and a sausage and ground beef and all that stuff. But you could always throw pineapple on top of it, just because why not?
Okay, so pro pineapple on pizza.
I am pro pineapple.
We love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know the acronym for Thug? THUG.
I do, and I'm brain farting, and it's not coming to me right now. Again, I'm 10 hours ahead of you in the future, and it's the middle of the night here in Saudi Arabia. I'm just trying to think of it, and I cannot think of it. But I rest his soul. Tracy was a friend of mine, and I wrestled him quite a bit, and I do miss him, and he was very good to me. And I'm ashamed to say I cannot think of it. It's right on the tip of my brain.
Would you like me to spell it out for you?
I sure would.
T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail, 'cause a thug can't spell.
There you go.
Yes, we love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show, trying to keep the memory alive.
I will tell you a funny, I've got to get going pretty soon, but I'll tell you a funny Tracy Smothers story.
Mm-hmm.
So long time ago, I was still pretty new. I was doing the New Church stuff for TNA. I was tagging with Wolfie D and managed by Father Jim Mitchell, and I got booked on this indie show in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, and I was going to wrestle Tracy Smothers. And actually, no, I'll tell you a different. I'm going to tell you an even better Tracy story on that. So I was doing another show somewhere in Ohio. It was for Pat Tanaka. He was putting on the show.
Okay.
And Tracy was on the show. Me and my buddy Elvis Elliott, we had wrestled Jake the Snake and Buff Bagwell in a tag match. And that whole show was jam-packed full of awesome wrestlers. I remember possibly one of the greatest matches I ever saw, and they were just messing around, and it was still a wrestling clinic. It was Ricky Morton and Marty Jannetty versus Bobby Eaton and Tracy Smothers.
Oh, wow.
And it was so good. I wish it was. I don't even think they taped it. Like I wish it was taped. It was so good. But anyway, so I guess somebody had kind of run off with the gate money. So Pat Tanaka was panicking, saying, "Guys, somebody ran off with the money. I can't pay you guys." And he was upset. And he was apologizing and this and that. And so Jake, he had already gotten his payday before the money box got stolen. So he had kind of skedaddled back to his hotel and didn't know that had happened. So as I was leaving, I was just a poor indie guy at the time. And so as I was leaving the arena, I stopped by Jake's hotel just to tell him goodbye before I was driving back to Louisville, because I was living in Louisville at the time working for OVW. And I said, "Hey, Jake, did you hear? Like, nobody got paid?" And he said, "Well, I got paid. That's why I got out of there early." And he said, "What do you mean nobody got paid?" And I said, "Well, Pat Tanaka said the money box got stolen and all this stuff." And so Jake asked me, "Hey, you got enough money to eat? You got enough money to, put gas in your car to get back to Louisville?" And I said, "No, I'll be okay." And he goes, No, tell me, like, you're going to be all right." And I said, No, I said, "I'll be fine." And he goes, "No, you won't." He goes, "Here, take $100. And I said, "I can't." And he was very insistent that I took $100 from him to make sure I had some food and some gas. And he said, "Is that enough?" I said, oh, yeah, that's great. It's way more. Like, you don't need to do any of that. And he just said, shut the heck up. And he gave me another $100. And then he's like, all right, now get on out of here. Go on now. Get home safe. So I get in my car, and as I was pulling out of the hotel, Tracy Smothers pulls up, and he was fuming, just hopping mad that, we all got swerved out of a payday. And he said, hey, kid, you got enough money to get home? And I said, yeah, I'll be okay. And he goes, no, shut up. I know you young guys are pinching pennies and stuff. He goes, let me give you $100. And I was just like, no, I can't accept your money. And he just looked at me and just raised his eyebrows. He's like, boy, you'll take what I give you, and you'll take this $100, and you'll get a hot meal, and you put some gas in your car, and you're going to get home safe. And he goes, I won't hear another word out of it, boy. And I said, okay, yes, sir. So he gave me $100. So I got out of I think it was Lima, Ohio. I think that's where the show was. It was somewhere in Ohio, but I'm pretty sure it was Lima, if I remember correctly. So I left Lima, Ohio with 300 hard-earned dollars, courtesy of Jake the Snake and Tracy Smothers.
That is an amazing story.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
And since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
We'll bring it.
This is our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
Shirley, and don't call me Shirley.
Greatest wrestler of all time.
Jake the Snake Roberts.
Worst wrestler.
Bill Goldberg.
I will accept that answer. You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Since I've wrestled Jake the Snake a whole bunch, it would either be Roddy Piper or a Macho Man.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
Brood.
Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
alive and well.
We would have also accepted tastes great on toast.
Yeah.
Squash, vegetable or fruit?
Match.
I will accept that answer. New Japan wrestler Taichi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
45-degree angle.
And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
I've had plenty of strange conversations with strangers in supermarkets, but never about Darby Allin.
And that is the correct answer.
Who I do think is actually a very talented, nice young man.
Yes. And that is the correct answer. Thank you for coming on and doing this with me, Sinn.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Once again, you can find all of his social media and merchandise in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox. You'll also find the links for Freak Show Wrestling as well. And if you want to get trained by him, Future Stars of Wrestling as well. Simply click the link. A new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You have no excuse. Buy a damn short. Of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, both on YouTube and Castbox. This was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. Join us next Tuesday and Wednesday for new incredible interviews. And follow the show at Wrestling with E, both on X, Thread, and Instagram for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. Alright, when I say Wrestling With, you say entertainment, okay?
Surely.
For Our special guests Sinn Bodhi, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust. I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with
Is entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.